Starting.
And we'll rock
Yeah,
eventually.
there it goes. We do that every time, but it's not the same number. Like every time the show, I watch the show afterwards, and there's always this me going any minute now, any minute now. Like it's now like a shtick. But we can only sit here in silence so long as we wait for the YouTubes to actually go live.
I think we are live.
Welcome to our weekly podcast. This is number 159, where we discuss all things game audio, from creative ideas to the latest techniques, project experiences to audio secrets. Here's where you'll find your in-depth coverage and opinions related to game audio and the death of Cakewalk.
Why?
We all dressed in black. How you doing, Vince? How you doing?
I'm so tired, so sad. I had this new computer that I was so ready to put Sonar Platinum on. I was so excited because it seemed like so many cool things were happening with new features over the last year, over the last 6 months even.
Did you say Sonar Platinum?
Yeah, the latest version that they've been on for the last few years is called Sonar Platinum. I mean their whole naming scheme has been so weird for a long time. Pro Audio 1 through 9, and then Sonar 1 through 8, and then the X series, X1, 2, 3, and then they did the Platinum thing. I was with Sonar for a long time, but okay, I don't want to hog the whole beginning of this show. I'll just say that this is my second.
You know, Vince, I think I know who killed Sonar.
Oh no!
To the Grim Reaper there. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
How's it going? I'm as you intuited, I'm dressed both in mourning, out of respect for a fallen comrade DAW, and also to remind us that the specter of death lingers over all our DAWs, which could at any minute, by some marketing decision or some business planning, be ripped away from us, and that we must learn to love our DAWs while they're still here. Unless of course you use Logic. Logic's can be here forever. Logic's going to outlive all of us. So I'm actually not really that concerned, but I do feel bad. I do feel bad for people who use. It is also really hot in that thing.
I knew it.
But I'm reminded of many years ago when Tascam bought Giga Studio. And very similarly yanked the plug.
Dave just starts laughing. Sorry.
Oh God! And Tascam is part of the whole Gibson conglomerate as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. They're related.
Yeah, Tascam is owned by Gibson.
Wow, so
related in killing DAWs.
Yeah, and then Gibson also did the same thing to Opcode Vision back in the day.
Huh.
Back in the 90s. Oh man.
So they have a lot to answer for.
Or nothing left to answer for.
That's right. Killing streak.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Hey, what's happening?
Cubase's still alive and well.
Yeah, man. Hey, I had my history with Sonar. So for a long time I was with Cakewalk. I started in the pro audio days of the 90s and went to Sonar in the aughts, and when I hit, it was kind of interesting. I moved to 8.5 with an upgrade to X1, and I didn't like X1, honestly. And I was working at a recording arts school in LA, and they focused on Cubase and Pro Tools. And so I had to learn Cubase. I'd never used it before. And I found that when I did demonstrations for the students, I was faster producing the music than when I was at home working like on Sonar. And I was like, I give up. I'm switching. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Well, Chase, how are you surviving?
Oh, it's Cubase all day over here. The skies are clear. Very high pressure in the air. We got a few like wave channels coming down the stream. You're gonna get a little bit of like mix and mingling with some low pressure there, and that's when the low 40 hertz are gonna happen. But other than that, it's pretty stable. I'm very happy. I can't say anything that's on the radar for sonar over there because back in the day, it took me 30 minutes to make a actually audio track, and I was. Actually, maybe Dan, you were teaching at Los Angeles Recording School. Maybe was that the one? I'm not sure.
I was teaching at Pinnacle College.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was the opposite rival schools there. So
yeah,
at LA Recording, they taught the same thing, and they didn't have any sonar there. I was just Pro Tools certified in 7, and then I quit. Or I graduated, and then I quit that program. But yeah, it was weird. But yeah, everything's good over here.
I think one of the reasons that sonar was not welcome in the schools was because for a very long time it was Windows only, and it was generally easier for one reason or another to like for a while. Apple had like a discount program for schools. You could get iMacs for your school at like a 10% discount, which isn't bad. And so there were incentives for schools to stock up on Apples. And sonar was kind of like a no-go for you if you were teaching on a Mac.
No incentives for cakes, only for apples.
That's right.
Well, I started in the Cakewalk. Well, I didn't start there, but I spent some time in Cakewalk as well. So we've got Mike. Did you ever spend time in Cakewalk?
I jumped aboard the Logic train on version 2.6, and I've never looked back.
Where were you before Logic?
Performer. And that was before it was even called Digital Performer.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And Chase, where'd you start?
I was on Fruity Loops 3.
All right, let's just move on.
Sorry. Hey, I'll have you know that's a respectable program, and very top producers make very good music on that.
Absolutely. I checked it out for sure. Well, Vince, we feel for you. We dressed in black. What's next?
Thank you.
Where do you go from here?
I don't know. I mean, I actually have a lot of friends that have been using a lot of different programs. A lot of people like Logic. I don't see myself going the Logic route just because it is a Mac program, and that is a whole world of investment that I just have not done. Nothing against Macs, just I haven't really done that, and I just bought a brand new Windows machine. So I'm not going to take. I'm going to try to make the most out of that.
Yeah.
And I have all these friends that have used all sorts of different things. So I've been talking to Austin about Digital Performer. He's very much a Digital Performer guy, and I'm trying to bug him about, okay, what is it that you don't like? What if I do this? What if I do this? Will Roger is a big fan of Reaper, and he actually used to be a Cakewalk person as well. And he's kind of in the news these days because of his recent soundtrack for the new Call of Duty World War II game, which he did in Reaper. So that's actually really interesting because I do use Reaper already. It's just I've always treated it as purely a sound design platform and not really a MIDI handling program, just because it wasn't that great at MIDI compared to Sonar. But maybe I need to reevaluate it.
Nope. You're fine.
I'm not a big fan of Reaper's MIDI
thing. MIDI.
Yeah,
there's certain things that I like about Reaper, but
I've railed against it for a long time. I should just shut up.
So
it says
yeah, I mean, my gut says that the little bit that I have. I mean, I own the program. I've had it for. I've used it mostly as a sound design program, as well as sound management, sample library management, batch processing, and scripts and stuff. Ever since I guess early Reaper 4, and now it's on Reaper 5, I think, and I still love it. It's a great program, but yeah, I've never really seen it as a MIDI program. But I do hear about other people like Will who do use it for their composition. I'm thinking, oh, maybe I need to really think about this, and maybe I should actually put some effort into making these custom actions and all these other things that a lot of people like to do in order to make Reaper their own, which is which is different.
along?
I have a suggestion then for you.
What's up?
I don't know how long you have to choose, but maybe doing a MIDI mockup test of like maybe 30 seconds to a minute per DAW to see how the plugins load, how efficient you are with that, and what your IO is coming out of it in terms of if it's suitable and comparable to you, especially with your CCs and your EWI powers that you do.
Yeah, the CC thing is really funny. Like honestly, there was a feature that Cakewalk developed early this year that I thought was just absolutely fantastic for CC editing. And it was basically all about selecting and soft editing and basically doing these really smooth crossfades between your CCs that you either draw in or move in to sort of paste over other areas. And I just really, really liked that. And it doesn't seem like other DAWs quite have that. I mean, Cubase has something that's kind of like that, but they don't actually have the sort of soft pseudo crossfade of CC data. I'm
trying to visualize what exactly you're talking about. Like, so you have two MIDI events. Let's say you're cutting one and you're pasting it so that they overlap, and then it crossfades the MIDI event data.
Yeah. So basically,
CC is just a discrete MIDI event.
Right. That's the thing. The issue is because CCs are basically sequences of discrete events.
Right.
But Cakewalks introduced like this new editing mode so that you can draw in and splice in and cut in and squish and stretch things and have it so that it will actually sort of smoothly connect that data. Which instead of having, before it'd be like, oh, I want this chunk of, say, breath controller data here, and I want to make that a little bit wider.
Right.
And, but there's all these discrete events here, and maybe they don't really connect up because the stuff that's in that area that I stretched out, it's in a totally different range of values.
Right.
So it's like, oh, man. But this new Cakewalk soft edit mode, it will actually sort of smoothly connect those things. And you can also really easily change how much of an impact that smoothing factor would be. And I thought that was great because I use the EWI so much, which is all about really dense CC.
Right.
Really dense with breath controller, really dense with pitch bend, and all the time. So Cakewalk suddenly, actually this last year, I was actually questioning whether I should keep on going with Cakewalk or not. But then they added this feature, and it seemed like the perfect feature for me as an EWI user. And now it's gone.
Dang it.
Very sad, very sad.
Yeah, some of those things you can do in Cubase. I'm still not quite clear on what happens with soft editing or how it's translating the discrete MIDI event data. But you can do like time stretching and like enveloping on MIDI event data on Cubase, and then also, which is sort of, some people don't realize this if you're not like really into it, but Cubase actually has two different types of event automation. They have Cubase automation, which is like automation lanes like you would have in Pro Tools or whatever. And then you have actual MIDI event. And you can actually lift the MIDI event data out into an automation lane and actually manage it as Cubase automation instead of MIDI event data. And then you have a lot of other interesting options with editing those envelopes and wave forms and stuff like that.
That seems pretty cool. Is it really quick and easy to sort of move between that from the Cubase automation and then back into the discrete events?
I don't think so. It's sort of, it depends. I think it's like if you're living in one place or another, it's easier because extracting it is easy. It's just like, here's my MIDI clip, I've selected it, extracted out. The MIDI event data lives inside the MIDI editor. So you bring up your notation editor and you have the MIDI event data lanes on the bottom. The automation data lives in the arranger window. So it's underneath the track. Okay. And I think there's a mode where you can make it so that you can view and edit kind of like inline, but I've never used that. So,
man, it seems like Chase's suggestion is really the thing to do. I just need to give all of these programs some time. I mean, I guess it's really okay. I'm going to give Reaper a shot. I'm going to give Cubase a shot. Digital Performer. Should I give Ableton a shot?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I see some stuff. I see some guys in the chat talking about how they're doing stuff in Ableton, and they really like it.
Yeah,
I
wouldn't count it out.
Wait on Ableton.
Ableton, really
is lacking.
So here's a weird thing with Ableton that this was like a head scratcher to me, and I was surprised, and I realized it couldn't do it. And that was I had for GDC. For one of the GDC demos we were trying to make, I had created a MIDI sequencer, basically a MIDI data playback system inside of Blueprints. And I wanted to be able to author some MIDI composition and then export it, bring it into the Unreal Engine, and then play back my sequence. But Ableton wouldn't let me export MIDI like composition, like a whole MIDI file. I had to export individual clips one at a time, and it was just like, this is the most ridiculous thing. For some reason, Ableton doesn't think you're ever going to leave its like biosphere, and so it treats clips like it's part of a library system. So you can be like, oh, this is a cool riff that I made. I'm going to save that in my library of MIDI whatevers. But they don't think like, hey, this is a MIDI composition and I need to like export this for some other program to use. I have no idea how people, maybe Mike, you use Ableton. How do you score out of Ableton? Like, how do you produce a score out of Ableton?
I think you mean Kyle. I don't. I'm
you don't?
guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Kyle, how do you produce a score out of Ableton? Like,
well, were your clips on the same line and they hadn't been consolidated?
They were on separate. Like, there was multiple parts.
Yeah, and they're all, and so
I could consolidate like one across, but
right. I guess I'd have to kind of like see an example of what's going on. I'm not really picturing it.
Like, but, let's say you have an eight-part arrangement.
Okay.
Of some music.
Yeah.
And you want to export it as a MIDI so you can bring it into, say, Sibelius.
Yeah, there's just a file export. One of the options there is MIDI. And that wasn't working for you? I mean,
it was only doing one clip at a time.
One clip. And by clip, you mean one
track,
like
one
right?
channel. I could only get one channel out at a time. So I had to like get them all out and then consolidate them.
I don't know. It sounds odd. But that just tells me maybe I don't understand, because I haven't had any trouble like that. Like, I'll have a line of violins, and it's MIDI. I export not only the MIDI channel or the MIDI track, I export the audio track that's attached to some library as audio. And Ableton has quite an export menu where you can pick and choose what tracks you want to export. Do you just want to export the buses? Do you want to export the whole thing and just have this pile of exports? It's got quite a robust export engine. So I haven't run into what you're running into, but that just could mean that I don't completely understand what your setup was going through and what
or I didn't understand it like that. And that's the problem with the sort of half-hour shootout or whatever, the 30-second shootout, is that like, if you only have a day or half a day with the program, it doesn't really tell you what the workflow is going to be like. Especially with Reaper, in the case like Reaper, I feel like vanilla Reaper is just useless. You have to customize it in some way.
Yeah.
I really want to know how much time is expected for customization. Just reading what people are talking about in the forums, and it's some mix of, oh, I figured these things out, I've aggregated all these tools from these people, and then I did all this stuff in order to do the things that I remember from, I don't know, back in the opcode vision days or something.
And it might be impossible for like Will Roger, for example. I think he switched over. I mean, I remember talking to him about Reaper when I was working with him on Monkey Island. So this would be 2010, and like that's like he's had it for a long time. So I imagine that thing doesn't look anything like the download.
Oh yeah.
We got a lot going on in the chat room. I wanted to bring up a couple of things. Bob had mentioned that he wondered if Scratchpad for Cakewalk was part of the Death of Cakewalk.
Yeah, that's right. Scratchpad was this mobile app that they were making. We were talking about Isotope Spire a few weeks back and how it was trying to bill itself as this nice, smooth, simple platform for people to record. And Cakewalk was trying to do their own thing for iOS with a little bit of that whole, not just a little bit actually, with quite a bit of that pay for functionality that you get with a lot of applications for mobile these days. And they were pushing it pretty hard in the previous 2-3 weeks. And I don't know. I'm not sure if that was the reason why Cakewalk died. There was an article that I actually linked to a while back that was saying that it might have been a case of right hand, left hand, where there were other factions within Gibson that were trying to push things that were going on within consumer audio. And those aspirations were at odds with what they wanted to do with Cakewalk, which was ostensibly their professional audio thing, but that really wasn't going anywhere. So I don't know if the mobile thing was really the thing.
I have to also say that I thought Cakewalk was going to have some life to it because they started releasing, like I think I bought the Cakewalk LA2A software. They started releasing these one-off plugins that were really quite good. I think I did 2 or 3 of them.
Wasn't that a freebie, the LA2A?
I shouldn't say purchased. Whatever it was, I ended up with it, and I liked it.
I think I have that for similar reasons. I kind of noticed that and thought it was part of a trend.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was good. Your time, that's the leveling amplifier, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot. Yeah, that sits in my master bus, and I'll sometimes use that.
And they did some others too, because I know I have 2 of them. I don't know if I paid or if they're free. I felt like there was more than 2, but not many more than 2. And so I thought, oh, this is a good revenue stream, Gibson. That's pretty smart. Split that stuff out. Oh, Gibson. Maybe they're just mad that they couldn't charge the kind of exorbitant prices they charge for a Les Paul. They couldn't get away with it in the DAW world. Did I just ruin a sponsorship? I think I might have.
That's it. That was it. No, you just gained Fender. That's all. That's what happened there, right?
I mean, a growing list of companies will never sponsor us.
I tell you what, I have to tell you, I don't know if it's a funny story, but it kind of relates to Gibson's pricing. So I ended up at a guitar store, like I do, with a cash full of hot money in my pocket. And I was like, I'm buying a guitar. And so I went to, this was Sam Ash in Columbus, Ohio. And I said, oh, man, I'm here to buy a guitar. And they said, well, there is no end of guitars for us to show you. And they showed me lots of guitars. And believe it or not, I was settling on a Tele. I was like, I don't own a Tele at this time. And this is a pretty nice Tele. I'm enjoying it. And one of the salespersons decided to upsell me. And he goes, well, have you tried the latest Gibson that came out? And I can tell you what year it was. It was 1997. And I said, no, I have not tried the latest Gibson that came out. Let me see it. And he handed me a Gibson Les Paul Double Cutaway Pro Custom. That's the whole name of the thing. It's like a British guitar. It's like 8 middle names. The Gibson Les Paul is the first and last name, and then
there's upselling, and then there's upselling.
And I said, wow, this thing plays amazing. And I fell in love with Gibson guitars on that moment. And I said, how much? And he said $4,000. And I fell out of love with Gibson at that very moment. But I later found one on eBay for like 1/3 the price. And so I own one, and you often see it in a like, oh, wait a minute. No, today I got this Gibson out. This is the beauty today. But they do make good guitars.
I think you redeemed your sponsorship opportunity there. So
there it is. Yeah, they just charge so doggone much for their guitars that it makes it rather difficult. And I think that they killed the DAW because they're saying, okay, here are margins with guitars, and they want to move into some consumer place where the margins are probably pretty high. I wonder if the margins for Cakewalk are just too small after they bought the company.
I wonder.
We're also
Cakewalk.
What?
I would say we're also assuming there was one coherent decision maker when it may have been one person's idea, and maybe they're not with the company, or there's some strategy that was abandoned earlier. You know, when you have an organization, the decision making isn't always coherent or the result of some single person assessing all the options. Sometimes it's competing decision makers or some standard procedure or a memo that somebody took too seriously. You know, anything can happen.
Did they buy Philips or something? Because that's what they're hanging their hat on. They want to focus on consumer products, and then they named Philips.
Yeah.
I tell you what.
Oh, man.
I love me some Philips electronics.
Man, Gibson has so much stuff. I didn't realize, you know, Tascam, TIAC, KRK.
Crackers.
Yep.
I used to have
Everyone loves those things. Everyone loves those rockets, and
they're everywhere. Yeah, they're like the new NS10. You have to have a pair.
Yeah.
So Matt says that I'm not getting my free SG now. Thanks. I happen to own an SG though, Matt. So I didn't get a free one in the first place. Which I love SGs, Matt, and I can talk for a minute because the neck. The first guitar, and Mike has seen this guitar because Mike hired me so graciously, thank you, Mike, for some work, and I used that old Silvertone guitar that was my first guitar and had this baseball-like neck. The reason I like SGs is because they have that baseball-like neck, and once you get used to a neck on a guitar, you just kind of want to keep going back to it. But I don't want to belabor my guitar stuff or Cakewalk. Goodbye, Cakewalk. Sorry to see you go. I am happy, by the way, I wanted to say this, that Ableton 10 has come out, or is coming out, because I thought I was going to be the first one to moan the loss of a DAW. Ableton 9 for 900 years. They weren't going to do anything with it, but I'm happy something's coming out. Yes, Chase, I want that fretless Moog guitar, but you're right here. Hey,
I didn't want to call you out on it, but I
oh, come on, man. Who doesn't want a Moog guitar?
I want that. It's so cool.
Well, you can get a Fernandez sustainer and get kind of the same thing. These are the hints to you all. There's Ebos, which does one string. There's a Fernandez sustainer, which looks like a pickup that does all 6 strings. And then there's the Moog guitar, which is like a Fernandez sustainer on steroids. Paul Vo, that's right, man. Hey, guys, what was topic number 2? We had such a bunch of good topics in the green room, and now I can't remember them. I feel like
we haven't greeted people Happy Cyber Monday yet.
Happy Cyber. That's one. That's one. Chase wanted to talk about this.
I actually got some of my Cyber Monday gear.
Yeah, what did you take advantage of? What do you guys see is out there? Because we should give advice right now before it gets too far ahead and people can't buy
I go first?
Cyber.
Sorry, Vince.
Go for it.
Just want to do this right now. It's a perfect segue. I think the best advantage right now is the Cyber Funny I'm so excited I can't speak. Cyber Monday flash sale with Isotope for the Elements package that they have going on, because I'm buying it now.
Oh,
Chase, it sounds like you're doing a sponsorship. Thank you. I'll let you continue.
So thank you, Isotope, for sponsoring the show. We greatly appreciate you. We love all of your products, and we especially love that flash sale that you've been doing for us for these past, I don't know, 2 weeks, it seems like. I've lost count because I got so many emails, especially 3 times today. Not from you, but at least twice. I'm very appreciative, and we all are appreciative of your glorious products, and thank you for sponsoring the show.
Wes DeVore says he got trash for $30.
That's true.
Trash is $29. You don't want to sell them short. $29 for Trash 2, $49 for Iris 2. Those are actually really good deals. So, yeah, definitely get in on that.
Another great deal for any of you who watched our HG2 interview episode 2 weeks ago. That's the software plugin version of the HG2 is, well, I might mean was, but as of yesterday, it was available for a discount of $99. I guess I didn't really need to say dollars, but $99 from Plugin Alliance. So if you are intrigued and you want to get it cheaply at a price that will not repeat itself until probably Christmas, this is your great opportunity. So I've had that for a while, but it's I think at that price, it's a really worthwhile addition.
It's actually still available for $99 right now. $99 instead of the usual $249.
I think it ends at midnight on the West Coast.
Ooh. So you got 6 hours left.
Yep, make a move on it. Kyle, what did you get, if anything, for Cyber Monday or Black Friday or grayish weekend?
That's right. It's like Cyber Sunday is when it started. Nothing. I swore off software. I'm proud to say I'm not buying any software, and you can hold me to this, unless the software is something unique.
Mm-hmm.
So I've stayed away from all software, which is the real temptation. Mm-hmm. I even went so far as to cancel annual subscriptions for software that we're going to re-up. And I think that it's important. I'm not trying to be a snub, but I was looking over the software that I use, and so much of it I don't use. So I decided to just cancel subscriptions. There's one particular subscription that goes off annually. And I realized in the entire year that I had that subscription, I only used their free products. I didn't use anything that I'd been paying for. So I canceled that. But hardware-wise, I took advantage of a couple of deals. An EQ that's coming in that I'm pretty excited about. It's a Mog Mastering EQ. Mog is giving off, I think it's like 11% they're giving as a discount. But the Mog Mastering EQ is really quite an amazing piece of hardware. And I took advantage for another guitar for the, I can't help myself.
We need to stage an intervention with Kyle and his guitar situation.
Oh, goodness.
We need to array all his guitars along one wall and then array us in front of them with concerned expressions and the intervention banner.
It's not that bad.
I think we should wait until he's hoarded them and he's like climbing over them to get to the Game Audio Hour podcast.
Well,
the one thing I want to get is that Townsend mic. So I'm still looking for a Black Friday pre-Christmas deal on the Townsend microphone. If anybody sees one, please, it's Kyle at moontechstudios.com. Let me know.
It is nice getting hardware. I think the thing that really caught me during this weekend was actually the 20% off on various reverb.com listings. So just going through those and seeing, okay, 20% off there, 20% off there. I actually got myself a new mic preamp that I'm looking forward to.
Did you get the MM1? What'd you get?
No, it's I actually just got it today after ordering it on Friday, and it is this Aphex here. And like, oh yeah.
Is that the channel?
No, it's not the channel. This came before the channel. This is the 207.
Nice.
Which is basically like their baby version of the 1100, which I gushed about before. But okay, with 20% off on that thing, that becomes very, very affordable.
What's terrible about this is that we buy these things and none of them end up under a tree. So on like Christmas Day, there's nothing to do.
Well,
plus of course you have an 11-year-old. There's plenty to do. But my wife puts a is moratorium the right word? Like I'm not allowed to spend any money November and December. Of course I do anyway, but I'm not supposed to. And I try to arrange the shipping to arrive and such, but it's really torturous because there's a new guitar sitting out there that I'm not allowed to play, so that we can act like Santa dropped it off. This is a really kind of crappy. I hate the holidays.
Oh my god!
It's all about delayed gratification. What's up with that?
I can't wait. I live in the microwave society, sir. I do not want to wait.
The microwave society.
You know what I'm talking about. You're all guilty of it. You're just making me take the heat.
That sounds like a term from 30 years ago when like the microwave just came out and everyone was like, you could cook a turkey in 10 minutes instead of 4 days. And that became the metaphor for being impatient and wanting results quickly. And we may have moved on.
That's me. Anyway, what else did you get? Who have we covered? We've covered Vince, Too Much of Me. Let's go to Dan. Dan, Black Friday deals. What are you looking at?
I abstained. I played Divinity Original Sin 2.
All weekend. Games.
Yeah, man.
Dude, what is it about Divinity? All of a sudden, I'm hearing so much. I hate to say it, I didn't even know the game existed. And then in the last 2 weeks, it's just everywhere I go, somebody's talking about it. Because apparently, you can play like a game of Dungeons and Dragons online with your friends using their engine.
Yeah. Yeah, yesterday I watched a tutorial on how to set up a campaign. So basically it has a single-player mode where you would go through a story campaign. And then it has a multiplayer cooperative mode so you can play through the story campaign with your friends. And they have a game master mode where you can just utilize the assets to actively play out a custom Dungeons and Dragons style game with a dungeon master actually walking through with your like friends as players through the campaign. It's pretty amazing, actually.
I totally want to check it out. Are you going to start one?
I'm not. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna set up a co-op thing with my brother. He lives in Colorado, so I'm looking forward to maybe having a venue to hang out with him a little bit. And but otherwise, the game itself is just enjoyable. Yeah.
And you got that for Black Friday?
No.
Oh.
I just that's what I played instead of buying.
You literally abstained and played.
I was like, nah, not gonna happen.
Is that
all right? I'm moving on.
That's PC only, right?
Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
That's PC only, right? Divinity.
That's a good question, actually.
It's on Steam. I think it is PC only. The Chase is going after something. What is it, Chase? Let's see it. Let's get to it.
Work. All right.
No dead air on this show.
Okay, number one.
It's Parappa.
It is. This is the official Parappa the Rapper hat that they ran out of at PSX last year. I almost even got the one out of the glass case due to some cool friends. Yes, they ran out. They didn't even put me in line. I cut to the beginning of the line. Almost got the hat out of the case. It would have been glorious, but no. But redemption has occurred, and I have my Parappa the Rapper hat, which I say is very comfortable. It came from Box Lunch, and that's a really awesome store. It's very dangerous to go into. I got like a little Game Boy like notebook, and then my other Black Friday deals was Resident Evil 7 for $20 at Best Buy.
Nice.
With the PRV mode.
Is it only $20?
Ooh. It's only $20. I was so happy that this was $20 because this is a really good game and it's 7 and I know it's gonna be great. And I was just like, yes, Black Friday, save me. Best Buy, I love you. And Batman Arkham Knight, because they refused to put the Game of the Year edition. And so that's why it gets chucked.
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute. You chucked it, but you bought it.
I bought it, but I didn't open it, so I chucked it.
Ah, okay. It's returnable.
So it's still intact.
You know,
we're not pulling any GameStops over here.
There was a game I played the demo of, and I was having a blast. And it's like called For Honor, and it's $20 right now.
Oh yeah. What? Oh my God! I have to go. See you guys later.
Yeah, For Honor was fun as hell.
The game is fun.
Like Vikings versus Ninjas
Samurai versus
English
warriors.
Yeah, it kind of but it's super fun.
How do they rationalize that particular encounter? Do they bother to like say, and then a time warp happened in ancient Denmark, or is it just like these guys are gonna kill each other, with no possible?
Pretty much the latter.
You totally read my mind. I was going to be all pessimistic. That's why I stopped myself because it's so ham-fisted. Like, hey, look, a samurai against a knight. Attack! That's the end of it. But it is so fun that
fun.
you don't really care.
I mean, there's actually a decent amount of strategy to that game too. Yeah,
hide in a corner.
No, don't hide. They'll come find you.
Stab people as they run by. No, I love that game. It was super fun, and I'm thinking about picking it up, even though story-wise,
story.
What story?
No, I don't know. If you want story, you're not. I actually have a story that I like going back to. Maybe it's because of Winter Blues.
Yeah.
But I like reading stuff about how I'm eventually going to be out of the job. So, so I got this book here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Whoa, hold on. Let me lock in on you. Hold on. Show it again.
It's called Computer Models of Musical Creativity by David Cope.
Here we go.
And I love this guy's work because it's simultaneously inspiring and scary. And yeah, I mean, he's been doing this stuff for about 2-3 decades, about different ways of creating musical. He's basically been writing all sorts of software that goes that basically deals with generative music and database music creation, and he writes about it, and it's fantastic. Some of his stuff is actually really dense, and some of it is actually really quite accessible, even if you're not necessarily a big computer person. And some of it, and I would say actually pretty much all of it, is actually very exciting if you're at all interested in music and technology. He's been writing for about 20-30 years, but it's still very much on the cutting edge, I would say. So if you haven't heard about this guy, David Cope,
yeah,
he's a really interesting guy in music and algorithmic composition and database composition.
Man, thanks for the tip.
Yeah. And then I read it and I get disappointed.
Mike, we didn't go to you. What were your Black Friday deals? Sorry, Vince, I didn't mean to step on you there.
No problem.
I bought 2 items of soundware. One was, don't laugh, a shaker and tambourine library that just came out.
I did not laugh. I want this on the record. I did not laugh.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I actually laughed a little bit myself. It was half off. It was really cheap, and it's kind of cool in that it has this nice assembly of different shakers and tambourines, and it has an onboard sequencer that will sync up the shakers with the transient of the shaker with the downbeat of your tempo. So the pre-roll of the shaker, the little swish before the shaker really kind of clicks into gear, is accounted for on a sample by sample basis. So literally with each sample, they figure out what's the time offset until that shaker, the balls inside the shaker hit the opposite wall and you really get that satisfying click. So you don't have either a really truncated pre-roll in the shaker, or you don't have to constantly move your MIDI data back 20 milliseconds or something like that. And it's just kind of, I thought a multi-mic'd shaker library seemed a little extreme, but actually I kind of dig it. So that's going to be useful, and it might be nice not to have to dig through 14 different shaker libraries the next time I want to shaker line in something. Okay, I've said the word shaker way too many times. The other thing I got was I took advantage of one of Spitfire's discounts today. I was always curious about their orchestral libraries, since people really rave about them. So I went and must have listened to 2 hours of YouTube videos by Paul Thompson, by third-party reviewers, and I obsessively would go through the walkthroughs where they would just play the different articulations, and I'd freeze YouTube and I'd play every other, whatever I had, just to see if it was any better or any different.
Nice.
And I came to the conclusion that I think I wanted to check out their string library for a couple of reasons, and they had this pretty substantial discount through tomorrow, where you get their string library and the chamber string library and some kind of funky elongated legato library.
That's the Black Friday deal, right?
Yeah, and it's all cheaper than the string library normally is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
nice.
It's not inexpensive, but if you're interested in those things, it's a really substantive deal. So I figured that seems like a good occasion to dig into Spitfire and see what they're all about. So
good for you.
In about a week, it should.
Deal.
What's that?
I've been tempted to get the same deal. I've resisted, but the temptation is pretty strong. I might not survive tomorrow.
What's nice is that you really can get a sense of a library if you're patient and you sit through the YouTube videos where they go through the different articulations and play them. And what I actually recommend is finding third-party reviewers. The clumsier, the better, because they will give you a non-tarted up sense of what the library really sounds like, because they're not sitting there deliberately making it sound as cool as possible with 13 different controllers and lots of reverb. They're just sitting there hacking away at the keys. And that will give you a very raw and, I think, natural sense of what it actually sounds like. And that'll give you a good basis for evaluating it.
I'm kind of disappointed, Mike. I mean, you're talking about these big old sample libraries. Why not go the physical modeling route? You know, hey, sample modeling, right?
Okay, I did look into that, but there seems to be some kind of fight going on, as we talked about offline, between sample modeling and a spin-off company, which may be the original developers. And the language on the sample modeling website is a little bit dramatic. So I became a little chicken, and especially as is the theme of the show today, I'm a little wary about.
Yeah, I definitely don't blame you for that. They actually have a really good deal going on audiomodeling.com, but audiomodeling.com, just that whole thing is weird. Audio modeling claims to be, we're the real developers. And yeah, they are the real developers, Stefano and all those guys. And then you have sample modeling with Peter Siedlczyk. You know, oh man, we remember him from Advanced Orchestra back 20 years ago.
Wow, deep cut.
But he's talking about, no, we're really the only ones that are authorized to sell the software, but we're actually not going to be distributing the software at this moment in time. It's all very strange. And as far as I can tell, no one's really been able to make heads or tails of the situation unless you're really deep in there. And maybe something will reveal itself in the coming days, but I don't know.
Are they doing the software version of the blue/red/violet microphones?
Wait a minute, what?
Where, blue microphones and red microphones.
Yes, that's right.
And violet microphones are all the same company that split up. A bunch of people got mad at each other. Is this what's going on with sample modeling and audio modeling?
It might be, but that's the thing.
If it is, it looks like it's a lot more complicated because they developed a their own VST engine called the SWAM engine.
Yeah.
And so if someone's trying to claim ownership over that, that could really mess up Sample Modeling's catalog, because I think all of their strings and the good saxophones are on the SWAM engine, and some of their woodwinds.
I noticed that at Audio Modeling and Sample Modeling both have SWAM, right? They're both using the same engine.
But all the good horns, though, are still on Kontakt. French horn is still on Kontakt. And that French horn is fantastic.
Yeah.
I took a listen to it, and I was really impressed. It sounded like the best sampled solo horn I'd ever heard. Yet, as today's show has thematically demonstrated, when a software company's future is in doubt, you may end up going down a dead end. So I'd like to see this legal dispute resolve itself one way or the other before I invest money into a product whose creators or distributors might be at odds with each other.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So the sample modeling brass, which I have all of the brass, the thing to appreciate about their design philosophy is, and this is important because it's two-sided, is that they create instruments. Like they don't create sample libraries. They create instruments. So the sample modeling French horn, as an example, is an instrument, and you're crafting a performance either through some interface like Vince's preference, or what I do, which is actually tailor editing notes and like working on. I think I use probably regularly about 5 different MIDI CCs at a time. It's really an instrument. You have to treat it like that. And if you suck at it, you can suck at it. Like if you like pressing a note on like a traditional sample library style library, like Spitfire or whatever, that's like, hey, that performance sounded great. You're just pressing a button, right? But with the sample modeling, if you just press that, you're like, no, I need to work on that. So you have to kind of treat it like that. Because of that, you can lift really good performances out of it, but it's also a little bit harder to use because of that as well.
That's good information to have too. I don't have any modeling software, I don't think, at all. I'm a little bit afraid of it. The one I wanted to get a long time ago was Piano Tech. I like the size, but there's something about the size that scares me. I just need to be educated in that area. So thanks, Dan, for some insight there.
I've been using Piano Tech since its early days when it was more interesting than pleasing. And it has slowly but steadily evolved into something that I think is reasonably competitive with sampled pianos for certain uses. My one disclaimer is that they haven't quite really embraced distant mic simulation. It's possible, and they do simulate mic positions, but the interface for moving the mics is pretty clumsy, and they don't have a lot of presets in the way that you'd want. And I feel like where it really shines is an up-close, intimate sound. And when you use it in that capacity, it sounds great, and it feels very alive because you're not listening to the same static samples over and over again. So I would check out the latest one, check out the demo, and play around with it, because it has gotten very impressive.
Nice, thanks. You know, before I forget, sorry to interject this here, and the conversation got stuck on Mike's face because I was busy looking up a link. Sorry about that. One of the Black Friday deals I took advantage of is to get a second microphone that I absolutely love, and so I wanted to share that here, because as I was saying, red and blue and violet, it quickly ran to the top of my favorite guitar cab microphone, and I want to share the link. Is called, hold on a minute.
Guitar cab microphone. Is it the 4500?
Oh,
is
no.
It the Woodpecker? Is it the...
Oh no, hold on. I'm sharing a screen. It's killer. And the deal is unbelievable right now for Black Friday. Here it is. Screen share. You guys seeing that?
I see a black screen.
The Amethyst Vintage.
Oh my God, that microphone is so good on a guitar.
It's
good vocal mic too. My wife sings and she sounds beautiful through it. And I tell you what, don't take my word for it. Take Joe Barresi. You know, he records all that stuff for like Queens of the Stone Age and stuff, and he uses this thing all the time. That's how I learned about it. This microphone is amazing. So I picked up a second one of those. I don't mind sharing the price, because look at that, 70% off. It's ridiculous.
It said large diaphragm, or what am I looking at?
Yeah. You know, large diaphragms are usually 2 inches or more. I think this is
like a medium,
close to an inch and a half, but
yeah, people
keep changing the rules. It's certainly not a small diaphragm microphone.
Right.
It's the size of, a little bit bigger than my hand. It's really good. And then here, check this out. Hold on. They got another one that they're doing a ridiculous deal on. I have not jumped on this, but you guys reminded me of it today. And I love the name of this microphone, the Black Knight, because it looks like the Black Knight from the helmet from
Monty Python and all the great.
Monty Python. It's 60% off at $300 right now. What this thing has that I really love is the head swivels. So instead of moving the whole microphone, you can just make some small little swivel motions on it. Get everything up and running. So but I can't vouch for it because I haven't heard it yet. But for $300, it's a pretty good deal.
So this is a workhorse mic. You're just gonna beat this thing up.
I don't know about the Black Knight. I haven't gotten it. I'm thinking about doing it as soon as we get off this show. But this guy, I use this thing all the damn time, and I had to get a pair.
Oh, you have a pair? Wow.
Well, I got a second one.
Cool.
For the Black Friday deal. So yeah, I highly recommend that. Anyway, I'll put a link in the chat here in case anybody's interested. That is a fantastic mic.
That's cool. Black Friday deals.
Presentation.
I like how Black Friday has just become Black Week. Is that what's the proper term for this? Because people are just going all the way through November 30th with deal after deal after deal.
Yeah, I feel like November even it was like right after Halloween, it was like Cyber Month.
Yeah.
Well, I call it Red Friday because I'm running out of money.
Oh man.
They should switch it from Black Friday to Red.
Yeah.
Trying to explain what Black Friday is to an 11-year-old is quite interesting too, because I tried to just be like, oh, you know, in financial terms, there's red and there's black, and black means that you get in. And I found myself within 3 seconds, she's asleep, and I'm trying to figure out the economy of how this whole thing works.
Well, and
Black Friday.
The deeper, like, disturbing message of the focus on business and capitalism.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not about the consumer at all. It's
Matt Uhlman says we should call it consumerist penumbra.
It's weird. You got black dress, black suits, black shades, black boots, black trucks, black coupes, guns blows, black flutes, black cards, black jewels, black party bags. But it was Black Friday, throw it in the body bag. Yay!
wow. Right.
Oh man.
Black body bags.
Wait, what?
Where can I get those?
That's your wallet.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't even have one of those anymore.
Oh man.
Consumerist penumbra would be a total eclipse of the wallet.
So fun talking with some of my people just recently introduced to Black Friday this past week, and they're like, wow, how can you handle all this? What is up with this? This seems absolutely ridiculous. Guys from Europe, guys from Asia, they just started working in this country last year. They're like, wow, what is up with Black Friday? This is they pretty much all reacted to this with, this is absolutely ridiculous. You guys do this.
I think it's warming when overseas companies offer Black Friday sales. Companies based in Germany. I think VSL was offering some discount. And
really?
They are not a company that warmly embraces discounts, to say the least. So
that's such a nice way to put that.
Austrian Black Friday.
Yeah, I don't know if they called it a Black Friday sale, but I think they were having some big discount on their new string library or something.
I think that, what do you guys think about this? I think that software should always be discounted 20% or more when they do these kind of sales, because you don't have to remanufacture this thing to sell it to anybody. And depending upon how old your company is, and I'm pretty much directing this at companies that have been selling software for a while, you've made your margins. So I'm automatically out if somebody goes 10% off. I go, no.
Me too.
You're not getting a penny.
I think it's so it depends. Like, for example, if you're an indie sample library developer and you're licensing the Kontakt player, then you actually have an inventory and you pay Native Instruments for those licensing keys.
That's true. True. Especially if you want to have that interface that you can show up right in that nice library view.
Yeah, the library view is nice, but also just being able to target customers that don't own Kontakt or Complete, right? So the margins for those people are pretty tight, just even right out of the gate.
That brings up a question on the side. Sorry to go off on a tangent, but I've been meaning to ask you guys this for a long time. In Kontakt, how many of the libraries do you use that are in that nice little ribbon section on the side compared to the ones where you have to
dig through your hard drive?
Replace your keyboard at the bottom with the list of samples. How many libraries do you use? Do you lean more towards the pretty little side menu, or do you go behind the keyboard and look at the ones on the hard drive?
I'm usually digging inside the hard drive, but I just updated my Kontakt while we were on the show live, so now I get to put all those things in a nice bundle for I can be pretty and quick access to go, I don't really care, just play the thing. Like, I don't know. I just wanted to work and it wasn't working. So now I was like, okay, this is enough of this. I have pitches to do and music to make. I need it to work. So here's my money. That's all I care about.
Everybody else? Where do you lean?
I try to avoid the in-plugin browser as much as I can, and I try to create in Logic patches or channel strip settings so that I don't actually have to open Kontakt up to load an instrument. So I'm a little like agnostic as to those dueling interface options that Kontakt offers.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I had to think about it because although I think most of the stuff in my template, okay, I think it is 50-50 things that are in that ribbon on the left versus things I had to dig into my file database. I never have to worry about that because they are in my various templates.
Gotcha. Yeah, I do. I use templates as well, and I do call up some stuff that's in that non-pretty view from my template. But whenever I get a library and I learn that it doesn't have, what is it, an NKX file that'll put it, that'll create the nice little pretty ribbon, there's a bit of a heartache. I go, oh, come on, you know. But Native Instruments is charging an arm and a leg for those.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah.
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 For
I wonder
me,
if everybody really knows that.
On my template, it's probably like the others 50-50-ish. But if you were to do it by quantity, I think there's a lot more that do not license the Kontakt player.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because there's a lot of small little boutique libraries where it's impractical. Like if I'm looking at my template, you know, my brass and the majority of my strings, these are all ready. They've licensed the Kontakt player because they're big libraries and they want to protect them. They want to do the encryption, all that sort of stuff. But then the like my the shaker library, the multi-channel shaker library, that is like I would spend like $20, $25 on something like that, and I have a bunch of them, and they're like the little flavor or spice that you bring into your template, and you just there's no reason for those developers to license the Kontakt player. It's just sort of ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think we've gone over. Any last words
for Sonar?
Sonar.
Sorry, Sonar.
Maybe 15, they didn't understand.
17 years. Was it 17 years?
Poor Vin.
What?
I actually remember I cross-graded to Sonar 1 from Cubase 5. I actually had Cubase 5, had that parallel port dongle. I'm actually wondering if I can find that stuff, if I could actually do an upgrade price for Cubase.
Nice. You should totally work it out if you can, man.
That'd be great.
I moved to Cakewalk from MIDI Orchestrator Plus.
Oh my god.
Voyetra. MIDI Orchestrator Plus.
I mean, I remember that. Jeez. I mean, not that I ever used it. I always saw the demo of it. It was everywhere.
Yeah. 90s MIDI editing.
Yeah, that was fun.
Those are my last words.
Kyle, we got a lot of dead air here.
I think really the only last word that I really have to end with is Gibson.
Oh shoot! I was on mute. Thanks, Mike. I was going to say with that we should give a grand adieu to Sonar, and say we guess we won't be hearing from you anymore. See what I did there? We feel bad for you. For you, Vince, we're curious to see your travels. Please, post on social media and let us know what you decide with and what your tests show. I think Dan brought up a great point. The tests have to be kind of long because you got to get in there. Like I love Cubase, and I've always kept it up to date because it has such a fond place in my heart. But I forced myself to try to use Logic through a surround sound project, and ended up liking Logic, and I was like, now I don't know. So I'm going to force myself to do Cubase again and try to make that final decision of which one I love more when I'm not doing. But now Ableton's got surround stuff, so maybe I won't do any of them. But anyway, that was my last words. Is spend some time with it. Let us know how it turns out for you. And bye.
All right.
Oh, Chase, what do we do?
Hold on.
You could go play some games because I know you didn't play any over Thanksgiving. Well, maybe some of only one of you did. Only Dan did.
Sorry, we were going to say goodbye, but you're right.
Mario Odyssey this weekend.
Oh, that's right. Cool. We have to end with the games we've been playing. Vince was talking about how cool Mario Odyssey was.
Mario Odyssey is good. I just, it's one of those games that honestly makes me think, wow, games are great. You know, it's just so I mean, it is beautiful and earnest and just joyful. It is a really joyful play experience. Man, Nintendo knows how to make stuff. But that's what you get when you also have an extra 2-3 years of development time thanks to the Wii U failing. So,
Smack.
well, I mean, you gotta call it as it is. I mean, it is amazing, but that is a big factor of why it is as amazing as it is. But it is amazing.
I picked up Skyrim, and we talked about it, I think, last week. I don't know. I can't tell the difference between our chat rooms in the show. But Mike was over, and Bridget really digs it. I think that's a plus right there, as an 11-year-old's getting into Skyrim.
Wow.
I didn't have the same response to the motion that Kyle did, but there is something that looks weird about it on the Switch. There's something about the motion that is different, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
Yeah,
like on the Switch on TV or on the Switch screen?
On the TV. Yeah. It's funny, when you're sitting still, it looks like a 2D picture very clearly. It doesn't have a lot of depth to the artwork. My eye isn't tricked into thinking I'm seeing a 3D environment. I'm just seeing a 2D picture, like somebody painted it. And the minute somebody moves, my brain goes from 2D to 3D, and it just shocks it into this kind of motion sickness that I had to avoid. Mike witnessed it. I mean, even peripherally, while my daughter was playing the game, I'm looking away. And I'm still feeling kind of sick to my stomach. I had to ask her to stop. But she loves the game, and that's a plus in my book. And so everybody, as Chase said, I'm trying to wrap up. I'm so sorry. Anybody else playing any killer games? Silence.
Killer games.
I played 5th edition D&D with Kyle.
Hell yeah, 5th edition D&D. All right, then I guess we should let it go.
3.5 or bust.
Do what?
That counts.
3.5 or bust.
I'm a 2.0 man myself, but we were forced into 5th edition, and we had some fun.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now we should officially say goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Facebook, Twitter, yeah.